Hi everyone, today is October 28th, 2017, and this is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is GreenRanger.
And I'm DeckTech.
And in Duel World, we're wrapping up the month of October. The season's just about to end. There is a new event going on this week with Dr. Crowler, a pretty cool event, and there's a lot of upcoming stuff going on in the upcoming month of November with the Kaiba Cup and also other events announced in-game. So, DeckTech, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I've been pretty busy in real life, so I haven't played a ton. Obviously, I've been doing the event and stuff, but the thing that's been taking up a disproportionate amount of my attention has been the fact that I have already reached the limit, the cap on the generic keys. And I reached it like a while ago, so I've been just constantly fighting back against that. Have to buy keys from the trader whenever I can. I've been trying to farm, but it just keeps filling up my gift box because I'm already at the max, and I have to mess with it like every single day to try to fight them back.
What's the red number you have on the box?
Well, I've been clearing it every day because it bothers me to have the red number there.
Yeah.
And so I've been, like I said, going to the trader or doing a little farming for the day, which I don't know if that's the right play, as opposed to just letting them waste away in the box, because I think now they get cleared after like 30 days of not being used.
That makes sense.
How about you? What are you up to?
Yeah, I haven't been playing a lot of PvP either, and when I've been playing PvP, I can't really settle on a deck. I just keep seeing people reach King of Games with whatever decks, like warrior decks and stuff like that. Magnets. I've seen a lot of magnet warrior decks. I've been working on an ice barrier deck. And finally Ancient Gears, so I can't really get into a mode, but I'm still in Legend 2. I might bite the bullet at some time, or I might not even reach King of Games. I don't even know. But yeah, the event. Been playing the event a lot. I have at least one of each of Crowler's rewards, and I have enough to make the Ancient Gears deck at least. I don't have all of the magic cards or Eames the Infinity, but the event has been solid so far in reward drops.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Alright. So now we're going to cover this week in esports in the news section, and we're going to cover last week's Reddit tournament, which happened on Sunday. And the first place winner is Jack JAQK. I think he may have won the last one. I forget what it was, or placed somewhere in the top, I remember. But his deck is Mindscan Cyber Angels, which you mentioned is your exact list, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's got 4 searchers in the 3 Senjus and the 1 Sonic Bird. He has the dinosaur deck, which Tecumseh made famous, the one with the Hydrogeddons. Well, this one's a little different. It actually has Oxygeddon as well, instead of Destroyer Source. That's notable. Half counter as a third mirror wall, I guess. And a Spellcaster control deck, which makes use of a new card, Mila the Temporal Magician. Yeah. It seems like this person really likes Sergeant Electro, too. It's in both of the decks.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain. I kind of get a little bit of an impression that this person might be newer or not spending as much, but then at the same time, there's like 2 mirror walls and other things to indicate that's not the case. But I don't know. These decks seem to be kind of based on the more free-to-play types of decks, even though he's infused some money into them.
Yeah, Neo the Magic Swordsman is a weird one, because he seems to be... There's like 1,800 ones.
Right, yeah. So I don't know what's going on there. Another thing of note is that this person really does not like to be surprised by traps and stuff. Like you said, there's Sergeant Electros in a lot of them. There's anti-magic arrows. Yeah. So, and then the one deck that doesn't run those is the Mindscan one. So obviously you cannot be surprised there. So it's definitely good, especially in a tournament like the Reddit one, where it's a little bit more open and deck lists are less defined, as we'll see, to have that extra information and to just kind of avoid the opportunities through Sergeant Electro and Anti-Magic Arrows to be surprised by some weird information. So I think it's probably a good call. The specific decks that he used is a little bit interesting and weird in my opinion, but the idea to kind of lock that aspect of the game down seemed like a good one.
Yep. Second place is Snowzy. There is a Beast Warrior / Warrior Monster Morph Evolution deck. We'll talk more about that one in a second. The less interesting ones are Ojama. This one's pretty standard Ojama deck. Yep. Not much to say about that one. And then there's a Destiny Draw Blackluster Soldier deck. Has Destiny Hero Dasher. It's pretty cool. Mausoleum. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that the Destiny Draw, Blackluster Soldier, or the Ojama deck are specifically like crazy versions of those decks, but I do think that they're both interesting choices to have brought. So there's that to say about it.
Right.
I don't know. These are definitely kind of off-meta decks. I don't even know what a moderate amount of these cards do. So the person who wrote the tournament report was equally lost about it. It's very interesting choices here.
The Beast Warrior deck has this card called Shoji Knight, and it was kind of a card that was rare, that was a filler. It's actually really interesting. When it's normal summoned, you can target one set card in your opponent's spell and trap zone, reveal it, and destroy it if it's a trap. Otherwise, return it to its normal position. If you destroy a trap card with this effect, you can special summon one level 3 Earth monster in defense position. And that's the Armor Breaker, which he would special summon to the field. And all these cards get a boost from the evolution, which would level them up to the Boxer and then the Freed. I guess that's what this deck does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what does the Armor Breaker do? Do you have that handy?
So it's a Union card. Once per turn, you can equip this card to a warrior monster, or unequip it to special summon this card in face-up attack, 800 attack. When equipped to a monster by this effect, whenever the monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, destroy one card on the field. Yeah, that's what it does.
That's cool. And then this deck also runs Gaia Power, Feast of the Wild level 5. There's just lots of interesting stuff in here.
Yeah, Gaia Power really gets it going, but it seems really inconsistent. But hey, I guess the monster quality of Boxer and Freed are good enough to make it work.
Yeah, interesting.
Third place is Hegeland Gamer. Hegeland Gamer brought Red Eyes Beatdown with the one notable card, Mirage Dragon. That's one card you never see in that deck. Mindscan Cyber Angel, also with a Mirage Dragon, and a control deck, which does not have that Mirage Dragon, but it's a control deck, so you don't need it.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, interesting. I mean, these ones are kind of a little bit more of the standard lineup, but like you said, with a little bit of a twist with the Mirage Dragon. I don't think I see anything. It runs the Spell Shield type, whatever.
Yeah.
That I think has fallen a little bit out of favor, but some people still use it. And then the control deck is pretty tight, and it's just running a lot of 3-ofs and stuff. So I don't think that there's anything too much to talk about. They're
still playing by the current rules, so there's still 3 Machine Angel rituals in this guy's deck list. So
yeah.
And fourth place is Zaid King 434. Brought Red Eye Zombie, very conventional list. 2 Floodgate Trap Holes, 2 Walls of Disruption. It's a more defensive version, I guess. Yeah, not much to say about that. the Restart Gemini Zombies deck. This is kind of the version Despair from the Dark and the Escape from a Dark Dimension. Those cards are usually used together. Ill Blood is the main engine here. And let's see, 3-star Demotion Ninjas. It's more of a tight list with this ninja deck. I've seen some of the ninja decks have a lot of different types of ninjas, but this one is the one of the Black Dragon Ninja, which is a 7-star monster, and Red Dragon Ninja, which is 6.
Mm-hmm. And I was trying to figure out what was going on with the ninja art of duplication there. And I assume it had something to do with the masked ninja. What's he called? Yeah. But what do you think? Is that what it's for, or is it just to kind of like reuse your guys if they would be targeted by just summoning a new version?
I have seen the Ibisu used on its own, and also with some other cards, but let's see. Duplication. Tribute a ninja monster and special summon any number of ninjas in face-up attack or defense equal to... Yeah, I haven't seen this card used before. Ninja
yeah,
face-up defense.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's usually the Shadow Sealing, which is the one with the control version, and then there's the Art of Transformation, which is the more common one.
Right, and he has that one.
Right. Wish I played ninjas to know.
Yeah, it's a little weird. One thing is that there's the Forbidden Chalice here, and I've seen a lot of people who are running 3-star Demotion add in the Chalice, maybe to counter specifically the Amazonas, because that's one way that you can pretty easily die if you are at low health, and I don't know, maybe just to make you guys slightly bigger against Cyber Angels or something. I mean, you have he's running Draining Shield as well,
right?
To also help with that. But I've seen the Wall of D also helps with that.
Yep. So, yep, that was the Reddit tournament, and now there is also going to be a Reddit tag team tournament happening about 30 minutes from right now, and this is it's a bit of a callback to the show where they had like double duels, so it's like a 2-on-2 thing, and one person loses, the other person would come. It kind of reminds me of Mortal Kombat. It's like you're fighting like 2 people, and then one of them dies, and one of the guys comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's an interesting format. I like that they're kind of playing with ideas and stuff, especially when there's a little bit of a lull in the game for like the first time ever, because we're waiting for the nerfs to drop and stuff. So, you know, it's a fun thing.
You know, there's gonna be a new box in a week, right?
Is that the play?
There's gonna be a new box next Monday.
There has been. How long has it been?
Not very long. It's like 2 weeks.
It always seems like they just came out.
Yeah.
But
I'm just letting everyone know. Maybe don't use all your gems right now.
That's your shot. You've called it.
Even though I spent 1,500 yesterday and I got nothing. I got like 3 things, but it took me almost halfway of my second Servant of the King's Box to get my first SR. I just got ripped off. Alright, enough about that. Let's continue. The Duel Links Meta sub-tournament happened on Tuesday, and this was to fight for Decade's box of things, a wooden box of things. And there was only one winner, 100 participants, and it was a one single elimination, so once you lose, you're out. It includes the ban list of cards, and also one deck, no side deck. Yay, hey. We've heard of this guy a lot. Red Eye Zombie Beatdown took number 1. Very conventional list. There is the card Shinzen-Hu, which we'll talk about later. And also later, because a lot of people are running Shinzen-Hu now. And also Super Rush Headlong. Second place, VV Final Fantasy X, which is wrong, but VV Final Fantasy X. He brought...
True. That's offensive.
Mind Scan Cyber Angels. This one has 2 Noblemans of Extermination. What do you think about that?
I think it's an interesting call. Obviously, it works significantly better with mind scan because then you know what you're targeting. Um, and one of the biggest weaknesses of swarm decks like the Cyber Angels is that the wall of D's been there now. So um, I like it. This whole list overall is a little interesting. He also has one Sphere Kuriboh in there, only one enemy controller, and only 4 total rituals. So there's some interesting stuff going on there, but I do like that he's playing with it, and I like the idea of running the Nobleman with Mind Scan. I might end up switching one of my slots for that.
Yeah, this is under the new rules, so I'm assuming the Sphere Kuriboh is just a protection because there's only one Machine Angel ritual to protect the Cyber Angels, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, enemy controller frequently plays the same role and gives you the Dakini Steel value and makes use of your Floodgate trap holes and stuff. The upside of the Sphere Kuriboh is that you can use it to count for rituals, but that doesn't apply here because everything is in multiples of 2, and it's the only Sphere Kuriboh, so it doesn't help.
Yep. Third/fourth, Drakmord. This is a very interesting Mindscan Cyber Angel deck. He only runs 1 Sonic Bird and 1 Senju, 2 Skill Angels, 2 Wall of Disruption, and a Dice Foon. Talked about Dice Foon earlier. It's definitely an interesting choice. We don't know if it's the best, but it's probably not the best.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it off air, so we could mention it now, right? Explain what it does.
So Dice Foon, you roll a 1 or a 6, you take 1,000 damage. I'm not sure about the other numbers, but 2 outcomes result in destroy 1 spell or trap, and 2 of the outcomes result in destroy 2 spells and traps.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a risky mystical space typhoon is what the name and everything comes from. This is an interesting list. I assume the 2 Skell Angels are just because he does not have 3 Senjus, because there's pretty much no reason why you'd run Skell Angel over Senju. But so I would call kind of like the tech choices are the Dice Foon and the using the Wall of D as his kind of defensive, tricky cards. So once these changes go live, there's a little bit of room to play with the various Cyber Angel slots. He's also running only 4 rituals, so maybe we don't need that 5th one that I've been running in my version.
Yeah, we'll see. Another 3rd or 4th place person is Lyral. 3-star Demotion Ninjas, but there's like a lot of different ninjas in addition to the black and red ninjas. Some of the cards we saw in the previous list with the Ninjutsu Art of Duplication, I think it's called. Duplication, yep. And Draining Shield, the Notebook, and also 2 of Transformation, Ninjutsu Arts of Transformation, and the Chalice.
Yeah, this list is like just madness. It's just got, yeah, it's the 3 of the black, 3 of the red, and then just one of every other card he can find. I think one thing that's interesting is that if you run the duplication and you have this hodgepodge of other ninjas, is that then at least you can kind of use the duplication as a ninja toolbox thing. So you can just like search out, I specifically need the Crimson or the whatever the other one's called so that I can get rid of a spell or a trap.
Right.
Or I don't even know what some of these other ninjas do, but it's kind of, obviously he does, or he can look at it when he's looking through his deck to figure out what they do. But I like that. I like the concept there. The deck looks a little wacky, but maybe there's something to it.
It's something that you would run if you're really familiar with the list, and you wouldn't run it if you just saw it online.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to know what all these ninjas do and what you're trying to accomplish by playing them. But I've always been a fan of toolbox, as they're called, constructions, where you have one card that lets you kind of find one of any number of cards that have various uses. It's less common in Duel Links because I think the small deck lists allow you to just play really tight. There's not as much room for tech cards, and there's a risk that if you play too many tech cards, you're likely to draw them instead of toolboxing them out. But I do like the concept. I've always enjoyed that style of deck building, and so I like to see it here, even though I don't even know what some of these cards do.
Yeah, that's the only way I ever played when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I just took my best cards and, oh, which of the Black Forest is dead? I can summon like 20, I could get 20 different cards. Something
Right.
like that, yeah. Alright.
Yeah.
The next 4 players got 5th to 8th place. They didn't really place, but they got eliminated in the last rounds. Lawler got used the Tecumseh dinosaur list, and has Forbidden Chalice and Trap Hole. Well, it's pretty much the same list, but it's 3 Wall of Disruptions. Yeah, same exact list with Electro, Destroyer Source, and Hydrogeddon, and Elemental Source.
Yeah, it's just like strong cards. It looks like it's very tight. There's a lot of 3 ofs and 2 ofs, so I like that list.
Yep. Mascarin, notable YouTube guy. 3-star Demotion Ninjas. This one is a more tight list. It has the, I forgot what this guy's called. Suzuki Samurai? No, it's like Grandmaster Suzuki, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Black Ninja, Red Ninja, Crimson. 3 Ninjutsu Arts of Transformation. 3 of the Duplication. Draining Shield. Shadow Sealing, and Windstorm.
So this one, it's really clear what he's trying to duplicate, in my opinion. He's trying to make one of the big guys into a Suzuki and a Crimson, right?
Yep.
So there we know exactly what he's trying to do, and that gives you some value because you can obviously clear things. They're guys in defense position or their back row, but also it lets you then summon a big guy again if you need to, because you have the 2 tributes. So I guess I like that I can see exactly what, or maybe not exactly because I've never played the ninjas, so it's a little hard to know exactly how it's going to play, but I have a really good idea of how this deck wants to play, and that makes me feel confident that it might be a better list.
Yep. -1 brought Mindscan Cyber Angels. The notable thing about this deck is he runs 2 Shinzeng Hus and 1 enemy controller.
Right. So he's devoted. He's kind of made a very tight version with the 3 Senjus and 1 Sonic Bird. So there's 4 rituals again, which leaves him with 3 slots to play with as his tech cards, and those are the 3 cards he chose. My version that I'm currently testing with is with the 5 rituals, and so it only leaves me with the 2 tech slots, which I've used enemy controller. But it looks like everyone is only running 4, and they're all in the same Discord, so maybe that's what somebody told them is necessary, but it's definitely something to consider whether we need 4 or 5.
And finally, the Altheros also brought Mindscan Cyber Angels, another deck with 2 Shinzeng Hus, 2 Sphere Karibos, and a Curse of Anubis.
Right, so if you're playing along at home, that means that this deck does not fit, and that's because there are 22 cards in it. He's got the 4 birds/Senjus, except it's a 2-2 split because he's probably short 1 Senju, and he's got the all of the Cyber Angel cards that you would normally expect, 4 rituals, and then all of those, I guess, 5 kind of tech card slots, which puts him 2 over, but he was okay with it, and he did pretty well. I mean, 5th through 8 out of 100 is pretty solid. So
I guess the 2 Sphere Karibos can count towards a ritual summon now.
Right, if you run 2 of them, then and you get both of them, then
max
you can't.
value.
So there you go.
Value town. All right. You can check out all the lists and our link at the website of Duel Links Meta. All right. It's Kaiba's birthday. It's time to get some money. And we're getting we got 500 gems. I don't think we ever got that many for a birthday event. Well, we only had 1 before, which was Yugi, and he's just a kid who doesn't have money.
What did we get for Yugi? I thought it was around that much.
I know we got that funny-looking card, and it looks like he was 5 years old. It's like a birthday card, but the good thing about it is we could still play Kaiba and collect Crowler's duel pieces for his event. So, what's your favorite Kaiba moment? Do you have one? I have a really underrated one, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, mine's probably pretty, I don't know, appropriate. Well, I was thinking I had one specifically that came to mind was the one when he was about to lose outside of Pegasus's castle to Yugi, and he's just like, nah, I'm going to commit suicide about it. And Yugi's like, wait, what? Hold on. So I thought that was pretty sweet. But the other Kaiba moment that really stands out is the one where he blocks that guy's gun with the card.
Right.
That was just sick. Like that was like maximum cool Kaiba, where he's like, how do you fight a gun when you are playing cards and you use it to jam their gun, I guess is how.
Do you know his line? I don't. Do you remember his line when he said that? They didn't show it in the anime.
I don't remember.
He said, "I'm putting my hands up so I don't get my blood on my cards." And then that's how he gets his opening to jam the hammer with the gun. I mean, with the card, yeah. That's
smart.
Yep.
And my favorite, pretty obvious why it didn't make it into the show, because you can't mention blood.
They show part of it in the Duelist Chronicles, but they don't show like anything. It's just words. Yeah. My underrated moment was when Joey and Yugi were fighting each other on the piers, and Kaiba was just a spectator, and Teo was about to get crushed by like a shipping container, and like he's like, "Oh, I gotta do something," because she was gonna die, and he threw like a card at the guy's hand, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna jump you now." Like he threw like a blue eyes at the guy's hand, and like stuck in his hand in the Japanese version.
I don't even remember that. That's crazy. Classic Kaiba.
Good card thrower. All right. Now we're going to talk about another thing, is PvP results by region. And now we know what country everyone is playing from, and we get like minimal gold rewards from playing people from each country. It actually took me till the second day to fight someone from the United States.
I mean, that kind of explains some things, but that's interesting. I've only played a little bit on it since it did that. I think I've played just one or two games, but I think it's more of a like interesting. I don't think you're doing it for the rewards. Like you said, the rewards are pretty minimal. I think they added it as part of the Kaiba Cup prep, right? And they just decided that they might as well show it to people, because some people would think it'd be kind of cool to see who you played against and where. Our other game, Hearthstone, is doing a little bit of that type of thing too, with the monthly things that they send out.
I don't get those for Arena.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just kind of that's interesting.
It's cool. It's good. It shows like it makes you more connected to people around the world, even though you don't see them, sort of thing. Like everyone loves card games or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I faced someone from Kuwait yesterday. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That is kind of cool. My guy was Japan. Was the one that I remembered. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
That's probably the most common outcome. All right. Now we'll talk about the main event this week, which is Dr. Crowler's Tricky Test. Thanks to feedback from surveys, the events seem to get better each time, and this seems like one of the better ones we've seen so far. And how this event works is you collect notebooks from duels, so it's kind of like the pieces you get in order to face Dr. Crowler, the guy who has a lot of zany schemes and a PhD in dueling. In the third episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, he writes a love letter, like a fake love letter from Alexis to Jaden or something, in order to get him expelled.
What?
And he did, yeah, because like there was a rule where it's like the boys' dorm and the girls' dorm. If someone is caught in the other dorm after hours, they get expelled or something. But Jaden's friend got it instead, and he thought Alexis wrote to him, but he didn't even spell Alexis's name right or something, like Crowler. So, like funny things like that. Yeah, and he has a PhD in dueling. Not only do we get new ancient gear cards, but we also get a new legendary duelist with new skills. So that's always a great thing, because we could get his cards and also a lot of gems by leveling them up. We take a special test, which is just a duel with him when we reach 30,000 points. A new facet is the today's homework, and there are 3 homework assignments, which are dual achievements like deal 3,000 battle damage in 1 hit or something, and they add 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 dual assessment to your score. So you can get a pretty high score, like one of the record levels, by hitting the achievements. And it's best to use the rewards on a level 40 farm, so you get like higher numbers. I mean, if you get over 8, it's going to be whatever, but you could use a lower deck that doesn't have to be as greedy in the farm to get 8 rewards on that farm. Yep. So we're going to talk about some of his skills. Middle Age Mechs, and this is basically a skill where you begin with the Ancient Gear Castle. The monsters get an extra 300 attack, and it also helps you get a Tribute Summon out. This is the most useful skill we've seen so far because people are taking Ancient Gears to King of Games with this skill. Another skill is Teacherly Discipline. This one's a more cool skill, and we don't know if this is going to see play, but it seems really interesting. Each time you take 1,500 damage, declare a monster, spell, or trap. Your opponent puts that card from their deck to the top of their deck. Neither player sees the card, and it doesn't activate if your opponent does not have that card in their deck. This reminds me of the Psychics with Watt Psychic Fighter by putting the skeleton on the top of the deck, but you have to, and similarly you have to take damage again, so it could be like a Psychic tactic, but it's really interesting skill testing to see. You have to know what is left in your opponent's deck to make the right move, right?
Right. It's definitely an interesting skill. Like you said, the idea is to mess up their draws. And so if you're like, I don't know, if you have something that can kill whatever monster they play, then you put a monster on top because you're not afraid of it, or something like that. If you've locked down all of their spell trap slots, then you can put something, a spell or a trap on top, and it's just a dead draw. So there's a couple ways that you can play with it. It seems a little bit not as impactful. So I don't think that it is likely to see play, but messing with someone, the opponent's deck is always at least decent, so it can. There's some possibility there.
Yep. And he also comes with the skills Beatdown, Restart, and Balance. And why is this so important that he comes with these skills?
Well, in tournament structures in which there is a limit on you can only play each character once, but maybe not a skill limit, then it's very important because it gives you a second beatdown. But even in the ones in which you can only use each skill once, it is interesting because it gives you a little bit more sneakiness, where you can kind of hide which skill you're using by running multiple characters that can have any of these relevant skills. And so that way your opponent doesn't know just by lining up against you what you're playing against. And to a certain extent that matters as well when you're on the ladder, but I think not quite as much. But just any way in which you're not giving your opponent information before the duel even starts is a nice little addition for that aspect of the game.
Yep. And farming, there are a few different ways to farm him. The regular one is the Labyrinth Builder farm, and I've heard it mentioned being the best way, and I assume it is the best way because you got to hide your Labyrinth Builder, your Labyrinth Wall from whatever he throws at you. But the really cool one that we both have been using is the Legendary Fisherman. And how this works is you have the Legendary Fisherman, and the other pieces are a Legendary Ocean Field spell, which would turn him into a level 4, and you would also have the Continuous Trap Spirit Barrier, which prevents you from taking any damage as long as you have a monster. So once these 3 cards are out, you can have them on the board and stall out the game. the notable skill you have to have is Reinforcements, and that lets you draw a warrior monster from your deck by putting another card in after you take damage. So the Fisherman would be the only warrior you would get, and that's how you get the combo off. The tricky part is getting the other two pieces, and cards like Magical Mallet and Crystal Seer kind of help do that.
Right. I think I have Reinforcements. I mean, everyone has it because I think Joey and Jaden both have it. But I've been using Reinforcements as the way to do it. I think you might be able to do it with Draw Sense Water or Aqua or whatever it's called. He's a water warrior. I don't know how that works.
I think it's only for 1,500 attack or less.
Okay. So maybe not. But anyway, the whole point is that since Jaden has it, everyone can use that skill as well. And the lockdown is just, I don't know, it seems fun to do it this way, maybe just because it's a different way of farming. I like that I get to use Jaden, so that means that I'm leveling up a character, whereas with the Paradox Brothers, they're already level 40, so you don't get that same benefit. And we actually tweeted out on the show's account a kind of brief instructions and the list that I'm using. So you can check that out if you want some more information on it.
Yeah, I'm using Aster because he has it as well. And I'm getting to the point where I get those 3 levels where you get hundreds of gems. So it makes sense to use Aster for me.
Nice.
And thanks to people online, there is a core for Ancient Gear decks, and they are pretty strong just because they have the ability of anti-magic arrows. That's kind of the built-in ability for Ancient Gears. And I'll just do it by memory. My dueling book closed. These are the core cards. Ancient Gear Golem, which is the 3,000 attack guy, but it does require 2 tributes, which you could help get out with the continuous spell Ancient Gear Castle. Ancient Gear Engineers, 1,500 attack, 1 tribute, but his ability allows you to shut down traps, I believe. I think that's what he does. Ancient Gear Knight is an 1,800 attack Gemini monster. The Gemini ability allows you to negate the spells and traps, but it's just good for being an 1,800 attack monster. Ancient Gear Beast is considered the best card in the deck. 2,000 attack, 1 tribute. Its ability is when it destroys a face-down monster, its ability doesn't activate. So this is very useful against mill decks. Mill decks, what else?
I mean, there's various monsters.
Maneater Bug. People are running Maneater Bug now, yeah.
I don't think they run that at the highest level, but yeah.
Gear Soldier is 1,300 attack, but whenever it attacks, your opponent can't activate any spells or traps until the end. And we also see other cards in the Ancient Gear Castle. So you get a copy of Ancient Gear Castle as like a second one, because you use the Middle-Aged Mech's ability, and now you have 2 of them going. Other additions you commonly see are Sergeant Electro, because it's a machine type, and it has that powerful control ability of shutting down face-down cards. Gravity Blaster, that also works. It gives the monsters the ability of the Ancient Gear Beast, so they can negate the abilities of a face-down card, and they're also machines. And Rare Metamorph counters enemy controller primarily, and they're machine cards.
Yeah.
And
you've played a little bit of this, right?
Yeah, I've only faced off-meta decks in Legend for some reason. Well, actually, I got beat by this burn deck. I got beat by this really bad burn deck once. And when I was trying to get to Legend 3, I got knocked back again. But it seems pretty good. But the thing is that people in Legend already know to play around these cards. So how you play around them is you have to activate your back row before they declare an attack. So right when they declare the battle phase, you activate your back row to counter them.
Right. But I mean, that at least gives you some information. Things like Mirror Wall, you know you can plan for it, and so you don't get the 1-for-1 or worse. Also, it completely negates the wall of D because that's
Right.
only in the battle phase. So there's some. Same with Windstorm is like half negated
Yeah.
because
If you don't move your monsters.
right.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some value here. Like you said, people are already in king of games with it. I'm interested to try it out.
I think what we saw in the tournament, people running Mirage Dragon, anti-magic arrows, that's kind of why it's good. Because people don't want to hit into face downs. Like, it's just a losing play if you hit into face downs.
Yeah, I think Wall of Disruption is so powerful that people feel like they need to have some sort of way to get around it and avoid it now.
Yep, that's true. So definitely farm Crowler. It's not a hard farm at all. And it's easier than ever to collect those notebook pieces, so even if you don't get the farms right every time, you should be able to get the cards you need for this deck. The drop rates are much better now than they were.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say they probably doubled from what they were back, like, old farming. Because you just get everything right now.
I mean, that was kind of one of the issues was that the drop rates for cards have increased, but the drop rate for gems has significantly decreased in the place. So the result is that you can get these cards more easily, but you can no longer really farm the event duelists for gems, which was something that a lot of people liked to do. Even if you didn't need any more cards, you would keep doing it because you get these free farms and you can, obviously rack up some gems on it. And now that's significantly decreased.
Yep.
So it's a trade-off.
Was there a change to the skills? Do you know about
Yes.
that?
Yeah, I thought we covered it a while back, but in case we didn't, what happened was they switched it so that the skills now, when you get duplicate skills, they give less gems. I think now they're mostly 5-gem reward.
5 or 10, yeah.
And sometimes 10. Whereas before, I forget what they were, but
15.
they were, yeah. So there you go. That's a lot less gems from that, and just the gem boxes, like, naturally are smaller as well and less common, I think.
Right. Now we're going to talk about 3 cards that the card trader updated. There is Mecha Phantom Beast Harleyard, 1800 attack machine. Once per turn, when a monster you control is tributed to activate a card or effect other than this card's, special summon 1 Mecha Phantom Beast token. This card's level is increased by the levels of the tokens. While you control a token, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or other effects. Once per turn, you contribute a token and special summon 1 Mecha Phantom Beast from your hand. So, the other card you see is Hamstrat, which you see sometimes in 3-star demotion, but this guy is a little harder to pull off the tokens because the Hamstrat automatically summons the tokens. This one you would have to do stuff like enemy controller to make some tokens.
Yeah.
It's not that useful right now, but we don't know if more of these cards are going to come down the line. So if you have some extra SR gems, it won't hurt to get this card.
Yeah.
Yep. Union Scramble is a trap card. Target 3 of your banished Light Machine normal monsters and or Light Machine Union monsters and special summon them. During either player's turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish the card from your graveyard. Then target one of your banished Light Machine normal monsters or Light Machine Union monsters and return to your hand. Activate 1. You can only activate 1 Union Scramble per turn. So this is specifically for the XYZ Dragon cards, cannon cards.
Mm.
Yep.
What about it had me thinking of, what was the name of it? That machine, the ship.
Victory Vipers?
Yeah, the Victory Vipers.
They're not normal.
Or Union?
Nope.
No. Okay.
They're all effect monsters, yeah.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I guess it's just for those cannon guys.
There's also ABC, and they're not in the game, but the B Buster Dragon is in the Datamined, so the ABC might be coming. ABC. And there's also VW.
All right, man. You could just keep throwing out letters, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, sounds good.
This one's in the Victory Viper family. It's Jade Knight. 1000 attack, 1800 defense. When this card is in attack mode, machine monsters you control with 1200 or less attack cannot be destroyed by traps. That's kind of useless because they don't really get destroyed by traps. They get destroyed by the reduction in the attack from the trap. But when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 4 light machine from your deck to your hand. So it's a tutor effect for Victory Viper, Lord British Fighter, Falchion Beta, all those cards.
So again, this is an archetype that you played a lot more of than I did. I don't think I've ever played it once even. Yeah. So what do you think of this card?
I think it's an include because you lose if you don't get your Victory Viper, and you typically, when you're taking damage, you get a sleight of hand 7 completed. So once you get one guy with 1900 attack, that's pretty good to snowball from there. So I would include this card in the deck. So those are the card trader cards. We have a link to the Duel Links official soundtrack. I don't know if it's official, but it's all the cards, all the songs you hear during the duels. And we have the link to all the tracks, and it includes the Joey and My Duel theme, which is the one that they have that you hate.
I don't frequently play with sound, so I don't know which ones are which, but I do hate some of the music, so there's that. I mean, it's not that I hate it, it's just that it's a little bit embarrassing.
It is.
Because it's like so over the top, like childish, but that's alright.
Some of them are good though. The Alexis one's good. The Alexis one's really good. The Crowler one is like Italian or French sounding. I don't know if that helps.
I mean, now I'm kind of curious, so I think I'm going to check them out and see, or maybe just play with sound for a little bit and see how I feel about it. But
oh well, so it's all there. You could put these as ringtones on your phone or whatever you want. We have some future news. The 2017 Kaiba Cup was finally announced. In past episodes, we never really knew when it was because we never actually got a date of when it was. But now we actually know. The first stage takes place from November 9th to the 20th, and the second stage takes place from the 17th to the 20th. Top 500 placements from each region will get a spot in the Regional Representative WCS 2018 qualifiers.
Yeah, so this is what we talked about before, that you get that head start if you get King of Games this month. So there's just a few more days left to try to get that. GreenRanger. So you get that 8 days worth of time to grind up for those top 500 placements before the other people, before it closes off, I guess, for people who hadn't gotten King of Games yet. So, that's 8 days out of, there's only 3-4 days after that. So that's a huge advantage. If you plan on trying to get those top 500, you need to get King of Games this month. And it would be helpful just for any sort of, if you're trying to get any sort of placement for the prizes. They usually give prizes for lower down placements as well. Then it'd be a good idea to try to get King of Games this month if you can.
Yeah, so those are the stakes. I didn't realize those were the stakes until you just told me right now. I knew there was something, but it doesn't really. The top 500 doesn't concern me because I was like 10,000 last time. So
yeah,
if I get 9,000, I'm okay.
Yeah, they give prizes along the way, and there's also just the prize, I guess, of getting a new personal best, and yeah, I guess you can kind of brag about your placement. 500 is actually fairly generous, because last time it was like the top 10 people or something like that, right? And so the fact that it looked like there were going to be multiple events and that it's going to be like the top 500. I got top 1,000 last time by trying moderately hard, and so I'm going to see how it goes and see if maybe I can get one of those top 500 slots. I kind of feel like a lot of people are going to be in the same boat as I am, and so
Right.
there's going to be like the 1,000 of us are all going to be competing for those 500 slots, but still, it's kind of fun and interesting, and I like that they have so many more slots to kind of make this, I don't know, a nice, more gradual climb than before, where there was just those crazy cutoffs and you had to not sleep for the whole week to make sure that you can get in those top 10.
I don't know if it would be worth running a control deck in this format. Like, I don't know if you value speed or winning. It's kind of tough, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It seemed like last time it was very much based. Well, yes, yeah, everyone was playing Harpies or the one handless deck that kind of broke out in that time. But it seemed like last time there was a lot of value on just getting a lot of games in. And then once you got like to that very top, then you had to just kind of watch where everyone was and make sure that you stayed in the top and all of that interesting kind of mind game stuff. So maybe you would play faster decks to get to whatever ranking you wanted to be at, and then at that point you would play maybe slower decks that you have a little bit more confidence in. But it seems like at least before it took a lot of games and a lot of effort to get to that highest level, and so you would prefer to do that more quickly with the faster decks, at least that initial climb.
So, TLDR is play Red Eye Zombies.
I mean, it's still definitely a good pick, especially after those nerfs go live. We were talking about how the balance zombies, or the balance Red Eyes just got destroyed, but the Red Eye Zombies seems to be in a decent spot.
But there might be new cards, next week that might shift things.
Yeah.
So we'll see. There's also an upcoming new legendary duelist coming in mid-November. And this is probably Espa Roba, because they mentioned psychic abilities. And everyone's really wanted Jinzo. Jinzo negates all trap cards.
That would be insane if that happened, because mid-November means right at the very end of that second stage of the Kaiba Cup when everyone's going nuts fighting over stuff. And if they add Jinzo at that time, Jinzo is obviously super powerful, especially when we're just talking about how people are playing underpowered cards to avoid spells and traps, specifically traps. So, like, Jinzo would definitely see play if it came, and probably completely shake up the meta, I would assume. And for it to get dropped right at the very end of the Kaiba Cup would just be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be. Jinzo might also come with other cards like Amplifier, which allows your trap effects to work. So it's like your continuous traps would work. Psychic Shockwave is a special summon for Jinzo. When your opponent activates a trap, you activate this and you special summon Jinzo. That's pretty strong.
Mm.
And Reflect Bounder is just a monster that he has. It's like Amazon's Swordswomen, but they take all of the damage from the attack of their monster. The downside is they have to willingly hit into Reflect Bounder when it's in attack mode. So, not as good.
Yeah.
Another event coming at the end of November is the DD Tower Water Dimension. It's kind of like the fire version that we faced. That wasn't the best event, I think, the fire one.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I wasn't a huge fan. It felt very grindy, like, oh, I just have to get through these challenges that are annoying to do what I want to do. I don't know.
I did beat it in one day, but the rewards just weren't, like, we don't see any of the rewards being played right now. Like, none of them.
Yeah, that's the other problem, is that there wasn't much, like, I guess, like you said, it wasn't as much of a grind. It wasn't crazy hard if you weren't trying to do all the challenges. I definitely didn't beat it in one day. But then it was also, you didn't feel like motivated to do so because like you said, the rewards weren't so great.
Right. So they said they made improvements to it, and we'll see if it's a little better this time. It is water instead of fire, so we could expect some water cards.
Right.
returning legendary duelists. So the Paradox Brothers and Pegasus events are coming back to the gate for the people who didn't have them. They might have some new cards, maybe. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I mean, usually when they bring stuff back, even if they don't have new cards, they tend to have new cards, but sometimes they don't. And what you'll do is you'll just get like more gems and jewels and stuff instead. So
we're gonna get Toon Ancient Gear Golem next. Watch.
Is that a thing?
Apparently, it's a card.
Oh man! Oh baby!
And we have a data mine of 210 cards. We don't know when these cards are coming. Some of them are already here. Some of them will only be played by the computer. I mean, the phone or whatever. And, we're just going to mention some of the archetypes that we've seen. Ally of Justice. These are dark machine monsters. They gain effects when they battle light monsters, which are worms. Apparently, they fight the worms, which are light. Ancient Gears, we've seen all these cards in this event, so this is confirmation that these cards may be legit. The Crystal Beasts we mentioned last week, it's a clue that we're going to get a legendary duelist in Jesse Anderson. They also come through a skill. He has a dual skill where you put 8 of them into your deck. Dinosaurs, we've seen a bunch of new dinosaurs like Superconductor Tyranno and Trifortress Teratops or something like that. Some dinosaurs. Elemental Heroes and Neospatians. We don't know if this is going to make them finally see play. More fusion types. A bunch of guys that look like dolphins. If you've watched DX, you probably know who that guy is. And Glowmoss. Neospatian Glowmoss. Fire Fist monsters. These are Fire Beast Warrior monsters. They have 3 companions, spells, and traps, and they kind of special summon each other. It's like, if you have 2 Fire Fists in a graveyard, you can special summon this guy. Stuff like that. Gladiator Beasts. These have a tag team theme. They return to the deck at the end of the turn, but they special summon another monster from the deck to replace themselves. So another monster that has the Gladiator Beast name. And there's like 6 of them, so... they have fusions and support cards, too. Harpies. We see 2 new Harpies. Cyber Harpy Lady, which is just an 1800 attack Harpy Lady, so it's a lot better. And also Harpy Dancer, which is more of a support card with 1200 attack. Hazy Flame. We see like 3 or 4 new Hazy Flame monsters, and they all can't be targeted by effects, just like the Sphinx. Ice Barriers. We see support for Ice Barrier cards, like 5 of these new cards, so... Maybe this deck might make it. I don't know. Pyramid of Light, continuous trap card that lets you summon 2 really big guys, and then they summon a really, really big guy. really, really win more. It's like pay 500 life points to gain 3,500 attack, something crazy like that. Like, I don't know. It's like Exodia, but you're literally beating them down.
Sounds fun.
The 6 Samurai. A lot of support for samurai cards. It's different from ninjas, but they like revolve on gaining abilities if there's another 6 samurai card on the field. So that's them. And then there's a few new worm cards, which probably are still not enough to get the card out of the deck out of casual play. All right. So we're gonna finally move on to the Duel School, and we have a new section called Top Techs of the Week. It's probably a pretty interesting and useful thing to talk about what trends we're seeing in the meta. And this might be something we do every week, just to point out a card that's exciting, that we haven't seen much, that is seeing quite a bit of play to help you out in the PvP arena. So I'm going to go with Shinzen-Hu. For those who can't pronounce it, it's the one that begins with Xing. Shinzen-Hu. And this is the trap card. We've seen it everywhere. In the tournament lists, I think it probably sprouted in the Duel Links Meta Discord. I assume everyone says it's good, and then everyone started running it. And why is it good? It's just because Servant of Kings brought a bunch of really good trap cards in back row, like Wall of Disruption, Draining Shield. What else? Well, there's always Mirror Wall and Enemy Controller and things like that. So there's a lot of different choices for back row, and because people don't really remove spells anymore, Shinzeng Hu could not only stay on the board, but it could also lock down the back row, so it also clogs up the enemy spaces for the back row spaces. So it's not going to be destroyed, and it's taking up 2 spots. It's probably best used during the standby phase when your monster hasn't changed position for the turn. So if they do use Windstorm of Vetequa or Enemy Controller, you can shift its position back to attack mode.
And that's your own standby phase.
Right.
So just so the listeners are aware.
Yep. They could counter one monster. Let's say you summon a monster and they use Windstorm. You can't shift that guy back, but you could shift the other guy back.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
also,
you would just play it before you would summon the monster usually.
Right. Oh yeah, that's true. That's during the standby phase. That's the definition of it. But cards like Enemy Controller could still be used, Mirror Wall could still be used. They're not as good because you see it happening and you could just play around it by not attacking that turn. It helps them waste it, but it still helps protect their monsters for one turn. The main card this counters is Wall of Disruption, as we mentioned before, because it only activates during the battle phase when something is being attacked. So that's why we see Shinzeng Hu everywhere now.
That's right. Another card that we are seeing a lot more of now, it's new, so it's not like Shinzeng Hu in that it's come out of, obscurity, but the Forbidden Chalice is getting a little bit more play than probably most people expected it to. A moderate amount of that is as tech against Amazon as Swordswoman, I would assume, but there's also value in negating your own guy's negative abilities. We discussed like Gandora when we first reviewed the card. And also 400 attack quick play bonus is not nothing. That's definitely enough to mess up other people's combat math, to make your big guys slightly bigger than their big guys, that type of stuff. And so it's seen a good amount of play in 3-star demotion decks, and we saw a little bit of play in Dino decks just as a combat trick, and because you don't care as much since your guys are essentially vanilla once they're on the field anyway, at least some of them are, so you don't care as much about the kind of, silencing, negating their effects. So that's another kind of tricky option that you should maybe consider, depending on what you're building, and be aware of in the meta.
You know what? I completely forgot to test this card with Spirits.
Oh yeah, I also haven't done that.
There's that Hino Kagu Suchi guy, who I really want to play.
Hino Kagu? Which one's that?
He's spirit? Like a fire guy. He's kind of like, let's see. Whenever he inflicts battle damage to your opponent, they discard all the cards in their hand during the next draw phase, before they draw.
That's fun. This would also work well with... Oh, wait, no. I was thinking you could do it with the attack multiple times spirit, but then it would negate the attack multiple times. So you wouldn't be able...
Oh, no. You do it at the end of the turn, so it stays on the board, right?
Right. Yeah, I was thinking you could double up on the bonus by... making the attack buff, attacking everything, and then it doesn't go away, but it wouldn't allow you to do both. You'd have to choose one of those options. Right.
Hey, we never know. Spirits never really made it, right? I mean, there was a lot of support in different boxes, and I don't know if Forbidden Chalice is enough.
Yeah, there was always... It was like very few of them saw play. I don't think they're going to make a comeback, but maybe this will be enough to do so.
Yeah, we could hope. All right. So that's going to be it for this week. Thanks for listening. Hopefully the audio is better than it was last week. I expect it to be.
Yeah, I got a new headset.
Yeah.
I can't... It has headphones as well as a mic, because it's a gaming headset thing, and so I can't hear myself as well. So hopefully I'm not like shouting at you guys, but I expect that the mic will be a little bit better than the one that I'd been using before, and if not, the Target guy said I can return it. So
now you just need that computer so you can record podcasts.
Right. I do need a computer. That's true.
You can find this podcast at the App Store, Google Play, Stitcher, and others. Check out the podcast and more at the duelassessment.wordpress.com. It's all going to be written there, all this stuff. We have a YouTube channel where you could hear this instead. If you like what we're doing, you want to help support us, patreon.com/duel_assessment.
Every little bit helps. You don't need to buy me a whole computer. So
buy DeckTech computer. That's a meme right now. Well, you've been looking for a computer for a really long time, it felt like. It's been like a year, right?
It has been, and it wasn't all time spent looking. I found a place, but then we weren't in the right place to acquire said computer. So,
man, it's all about the Amazon warehouse, where you get a computer with a damaged box. That's just the discount right there.
There you go. I don't know if I want people dropping my computer before it even comes to my house, though.
Oh, the one that's recording this show is like that, though. It's fine, though.
That's true. That's true.
You can send us an email with any questions, duelassessment@gmail.com. And you can find us on Twitter, duel_assessment, me, GreenRanger HS, DeckTech HS DeckTech.
That's right. We love the Twitters.
Yep. All right. So that's it. Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you guys next time.